Okay, my name is Marjorie Clark O'Callaghan. I live at 10 Prospect Street, West Newbury. I've lived in this house for 85 years. I was 2 years old when we came down from Lynn. My father bought the house in 1933 for $1,000. The house is very old. It's like 1860, and I'm not leaving it in a hurry. And I still got the tax. There's still a tax bill. My mother kept all the tax bills. I remember moving here when I was 2 years old. I remember the day that we moved here, the moving truck on the front lawn, and I was 2 years old then.
And you've lived here ever since?
Pardon?
And you lived here ever since?
Yeah, I never left here. Yep. I got married and lived here. Yeah. Part of the house when my father was alive, part of it was rented years ago over on the side of the house. And he always tried to find the history of the house. Half of it was brought down from Pipestave Hill way back, and it was joined to an existing house here. And that's as far as he ever got to find the history of it.
Wow.
Yeah, and you can see where it's joined in the cellar and up on the roof. It was brought down by oxen. Growing up, everybody was poor. Everybody had gardens. Everybody had chickens. And we had to make our own fun. We had to invent things to do. We had to invent sliding. We used to slide in the winter on pieces of cardboard in our sleds out front, even when it was dark, because there was no cars then. We played cops and robbers. We played hopscotch. We played croquet, in which I still have the croquet set. My family played horseshoes. There was a horseshoe pit. We played dolls and paper dolls until we were teenagers. Yeah.
So you said that there were no cars back then. When?
Very few cars. You could go sliding out front at night on your sleds, and very rarely there'd be a car going down the street. Very rarely, not like today.
Did your family ever own a car when you were growing up?
Yes, my father did. My father worked for the railroad. He had to go back and forth. Yeah, worked for the B&M Railroad, and he had a car. Yeah.
So where did you go to school?
I went to school up here at the 1910 building, the grammar school, through the 8th grade, and then we went to Newburyport High and graduated from there in 1957. And then Pentucket was built. It was before Penn. We were the last class to go to Newburyport. Yeah.
So what were some things that you remember from the West Newbury landscape when you were growing up?
Oh, the landscape. I remember Baldy Merrill's farm over on Bailey's Lane with all the cows. You could see the cows. You could see the cows across the river at the Kimball's farm over there. You could see the bridge from over in the camp and the other. Yeah, there was nothing growing up. Baldy Merrill planted the field behind our house one time with all fodder corn one year for the cows. There was a gas station up the corner of this street in the store, corner of Prospect Street, on Main Street, Croft's store. There was a diner up by the West Newbury Food Mart.
What was that like?
There was a diner there. There was a diner, yeah, up there. We used to go and walk up there and get seafood. There was a drugstore where you could go get ice cream sodas. There was an ice cream stand down across from Long Hill Orchard. There was carnivals up where Pentucket is now. There used to be a carnival put on by the fire department years ago. Yes. Hay wagons would go up on the main road, up and down the street. It was very different.
Yeah.
Farmland. I got pictures. I think there was no houses across the street here.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. You could sleep out at night. My cousin lived next door. We used to throw blankets over the clothesline and put a blanket on the ground, and you could sleep out. Everybody had the doors unlocked, the windows open. Yeah, it was, yeah. and people were poor. It was, like in the 1940s. I can remember my mother saying, we had one potato and I saved it for Sunday. That was before when the war was going on. In the 4th of July, we used to, everybody, always big families out in the yard on Sundays. We used to decorate our bikes. We used to play out in the street. We used to have forts in the winter. We'd build big forts with the snow and have snowball fights because there was a lot of kids on the street. Every house on this street had a lot of kids for us to play with. Played kickball out in the field. We invented all our games because there was no computers. There was no nothing. Played dolls with our doll cabbages till we were probably 13 or 14 years. Paper dolls and stuff. Yep.
Yeah.
Swung on trees. Played outside all the time. Yeah. And invented stuff. No, it was great.
Yeah. How do you feel when you see what kids today are doing for fun and how they're growing up?
Oh, I don't know what they're doing, but every time you see them, they're in the computer. They don't look around. Oh, I see them going up and down the street walking dogs, but no, nothing like it is now.
Yeah.
Yep. With their iPads or whatever they got. Yeah. Sad. They never look around. No. We used to play Monopoly all the time as kids all summer. My friend and I would play Monopoly on the front porch. We did all our own thing. Always a lot of kids, and we were always inventive of everything. And it was a simple life, and it was beautiful. I loved it. It was the best part of my life was growing up here, and it still is. I love it here.
Yeah.
I love it. I do. Yeah. And I get great neighbors too. My father worked, but I can remember wardens coming around at night. You had to pull the shades down in your house. I remember one of them was Hank Colquitt that lived on the main road, another old family in town coming around. You had to pull your shades down. There was something over the headlights in a car. They were half blacked out. And people were afraid, yeah. And when it ended, us kids decorated our bikes with red, white, and crepe paper, and everybody was so happy. Way back in the 40s, yeah.
Did anyone who you knew personally go off to fight in World War II?
Pardon?
Did you know anyone personally who fought in World War II?
That was in the war? Yeah, one of my father's nephews was. Yeah.
Did he make it out?
Yeah, he was okay, yeah. The way that it was, and not all these great big houses. Not all these $1 million houses that came up. The way it was, I think. Yeah.
A lot more open.
Yeah.
It felt probably more
Everybody
personal.
had, yeah, the quiet and peace that it was, although it is a nice town. There's no problem. There's no problem here. But it was more like farms then, and pretty. No, there's 2 houses that just went in down the street. They were $1 million houses on State Avenue down here. One of them sold already. Yeah. But they don't look like they belong here. I think Newburyport's the same. There was an article about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just beautiful the way it was. We used to go to school, and on May Day, the 1st of May, we'd decorate a maypole with all crepe paper. You'd get a May basket on your back steps full of candy, and little things would appear on the step made on May 1st. The diner was up in the square, and I remember walking up. It was on the left. It was right near the store there. And you could walk up there. They had very good seafood. I can't remember who ran it, and I don't know what happened to it, but you could My friend lived across the street. Our mothers would give us money, and you could go up and have. We'd walk up and have lunch. And I don't know where the diner went. I don't remember it, but it was a long time ago. There was a furniture store, Wayside Furniture, between here. Do you know where David Janelle lives?
Yeah.
Right up in that area, there was a big furniture store. And I think somebody by the name of Jacoby's owned it. And I remember being in school one day in the summer, and it caught on fire, and it burned down. I remember, I think that their son was in school with me, Kenny Jacoby, and it burned down. Remember that business? Long Hill Orchard was always there. Long Hill Orchard was always there, even way back. We used to go get apple cider there in great big gallon jugs down there. They made their own cider there. Barber shop was always there. Where the West Newbury Food Mart was, it was a garage.
Oh.
A garage for cars.
The few that
repair
were
shop. And they had a fire there too. That burnt. There was a fire there too.
Do you remember what was in the building next to the post office? The one my mother currently owns? I think
There was a drugstore there where the quilting place is.
Yeah, that's
the
my
new
mother's.
quilting place was a drugstore. Was a drugstore there.
And then how about the House of Pizza? Was that always a pizza place?
The House of Pizza was a grocery store with George Bailey. George Bailey ran it at one time. Trying to think what else. Trying to think what other businesses were in town. The ice cream stand down the other end of town. I can't seem to think what else was here. But I'm sure there was. There used to be the women's club outside of the bar. We went to Girl Scouts there. That was Brownies and Girl Scouts where we went. We learned to cook and everything. There was nice there. There was also another hall up by David Janelle's house too. There was a funny building. I wish that we had pictures. There was a big building there, and I don't know what it was, but I remember going to something up there, Girl Scouts. Like a 2-story building. I must have got rid of it. I met my husband Billy on the Plum Island Turnpike.
So, like on the highway?
There were my 2 girlfriends and myself were cruising around with no boyfriends. And we were going to the beach down at Plum Island, and there was a whole carload of fellas in front of us, and the bridge got stuck up, and it wouldn't go down. We couldn't get onto the island. So the guys got out, and we were all out talking. Well, we might as well go have a drink. We'll all meet at the Sporty, and we all ended up marrying these who was in the car.
Wow.
I married Billy. They had a cottage. Well, would you girls like to come down to the cottage? We went to the cottage. We all got boyfriends and got married with them. Yeah. It was funny. Yeah.
That fate must have decided.
Yeah. They were from the Boston area. Billy was they grew up in Dorchester. Great big Irish family, 9 of them. They were mostly from Boston. And then we had a big ski club after that. And we're still all friends, what's left of us. And that was back in the 60s, early 60s, yeah. And Billy was worked at Cowling Brewery in Natick. He traveled back and forth. I worked 44 years at it was Western Electric, and then it went to AT&T, then it went to Lucent, then it went to Alcatel-Lucent, and now it's Nokia. Nokia, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
So,
and it went out. So it's not there anymore. I ended up working for Bell Laboratories.
Oh.
for part of my career, which was great. Yep.
What sort of stuff
I
did
would
you
do it all over again from day one. I loved my jobs.
What did you do in them?
I worked in the office, the office part. Then I worked in Bell Labs in like research and development. It was great. I could do it from day one.
Yeah.
Again, I loved every minute I worked, and cried when I had to leave there, all the way down 495. And Billy got mad at me.
What, was he retired at that point?
Huh?
Had he retired by that point too?
Yeah, he retired in 95. He ended up, they closed Cowlings, Teamsters closed Cowlings. He went to work for ARA Coffee Systems, and he retired from there because he had knee replacements, and it required a lot of lifting. So yeah, he retired in 95. But I still work. I retired in 2001.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Very recent.
Seems like it was just yesterday.
Yeah.
And I remember the Myopias too. The Myopia Runs, they used to come through West Newbury, and everybody would get all excited. I think they came through here one time. The Myopias are running. I don't know if they still do it, but that was a big thing in town. The Myopias are coming, and everybody would go to the club there from, I don't know where they were from, Hamilton maybe, or someplace over there. Yeah.
What would the myopia do?
They would just, I think they would chase it. I don't know if they had a dog or something in front of them that would chasing something, but they would just be a group, and they would just go 90 miles an hour on their horses. They'd be all dressed up. And I don't know what the purpose was, but they were very popular when they did it way back. I remember, the carnivals they had. And they were nice. I remember Halloween going up into the square, and they had great big tables set up. You could get donuts and cider one year, because kids were bad back then. They smashed pumpkins. There'd be toilet paper. They went over to my aunt's. Kids would come around with wax. They put soap on your door. So it was scary. They were bad. There was a bad group back then. They set a wagon on fire one night and sent it down over the hill on fire. Yeah.
I bet the fire department
And they
would
would
have to go back.
oh, and if anybody had an outhouse, they would tip it over.
Did you have an outhouse here?
No, they did down over the hill. They tipped it over one night when somebody was in it. It went up the street after them. George Silk. Yeah.
I think John McGrath told
They
us.
were awful. There was a certain group that then it kind of quieted down. It was a certain group that made us get scared. It was kind of scary, Halloween. A lot of damage with pumpkins and toilet paper and stuff all over the place. A mess. Could make a mess.
I wonder where they are now.
I mean, prison. Ghetto prison. State prison. Everybody had parties, and TV came out. And then when TV came out, people had television parties. And people would, you'd go to somebody's house and watch the TV before we all had them. I don't know when it was, but it was a long.
Would you say that technology came to West Newbury slower than the rest of the, well, I guess slower than Boston, obviously, but
I don't know.
surrounding
Yeah,
areas?
maybe. I remember having an old TV when an old Admiral TV. It was usually everybody had a radio. You used to listen to Santa Claus at Christmas on the radio from Port. It was a Portsmouth station, I think. He was in the Navy, and he belonged to his Navy reunion. There was like 100 people. It was an association, and we went everywhere in this country every year. And then it disbanded because there wasn't really anybody left. We went to the national Navy reunions, and when I was working, the girls, we went to the Cape a lot. We went to Ireland, Billy and I did, with the family, 3 trips to Ireland. He went everywhere in the military. He was all over the world on a destroyer, so he saw it all. We went to the Caribbean. Lots of nice vacations. Yeah. And my mother lived here. My mother lived, when my father died, I wasn't married. I was 18, 19. My father passed away, and my grandfather came down to live with us from Lynn. He lived over here before it was really renovated. And then when Billy and I got married, we moved over here, and my mother stayed here till she was in her 90s. And then she went to a rehab, and she died at 100. And I just kept the house.
Did you have any siblings?
And I'm going to joke. No.
Yeah.
But Billy's got a big family. A lot of them have passed away too, but he's got 3 sisters that are widows, and they're very helpful to me. I mean, they're like my family. They're over here. They're very, yeah.
He passed recently, right? Billy passed recently?
He passed away in January last year. Yeah. Yeah. But I always sort of ran the house, so I'm all right with it. I don't want anything to do with that. I don't want anything to do. I know I just had the chimney clean. I know all the things you're supposed to do to keep the house running. And it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because I can stay here.
Yeah.
I can stay here. I'm all right doing it. Yep. And I got nice neighbors, so. And plus it's pretty here. And my father's father worked for the Boston and Maine Railroad. He drove a locomotive up in Montpelier, Vermont. My father went to work for the railroad too and passed up. Yeah, he died at 56. Worked for the railroad. And when my father died, my mother had to go out and get a license and get a job. Yeah.
And what did she do?
She worked as a secretary for Jack Metz from town. He had a business where they cut alligator skins, and it was called Operation Alligator. It was up over the store, up over the West Newbury Food Mart. That burnt down. There was a level up there.
Stories?
Yep, it was up there. Then he moved to Haverhill. Then it moved to Haverhill.
Yeah, I heard there's better.
But that's got a lot of history. That piece of property's got a lot of history there. With the fire, back in the 50s, I think it was.
What other things were there?
There was a store. There was the garage. There was Jack Metz. That was about it, I think. But it was the 2 levels. It had to be it was quite a while ago.
Yeah.
I remember the Page School used to be the Angel Guardian, was called the Angel Guardian, and it was an orphanage. And so was the Historical Society. That they had state children in there that actually went to school up here. It was like, yeah, in that house there. Yeah, I remember being very friendly with somebody from there, the nice girl there. They weren't wayward. I don't know, but it was like a state-run place for kids. And the Boy Haven was too. Angel Guardian, then it became the Boy Haven. And I can remember sitting on my mother's lap one night, and there was a fire down there too. There was a lot of fires in those days. They were always going out. And you could see it from upstairs in the upstairs window. I remember sitting, yeah.
Oh.
We used to have a camp down back that when my father was renovating the house, family would come down from Lynn, we would stay in it, and my father sold it, and they took it off, and it's up on Pleasant Street.
Oh, it's still there.
It's to this day. Somebody bought it for $200, and they made it into a house. I haven't been down to that street for years. I forgot there's a cemetery down there too.
Yeah, it's a very nice one.
And the old Dr. Orcutt in town is buried there.
Really?
We used to go up there and cry. He was yeah. used to come to your house, and he had pills he made. They were gray pills with little red lines in them. Always had a handful of them. And if you had a sore throat or anything back in those days, if you took the pill, it would be gone. And you'd get a shot of penicillin when penicillin came out. He was the nicest doctor.
Hmm. Do you remember going to his office ever?
Yeah.
What was it like in there?
What, up here, the doctor's office, you mean?
Yeah.
It was just a regular office. And he was by himself. And I remember my cousin going up there. She got a whole leg full of splinters on a seesaw up there behind the school, and he had to take all the splinters out. But he would come to your house. I'm going to call Dr. Orcutt. And the minute he came in the house, you'd feel better. You'd be all right. Be all right. You're probably scared of him.
He did a lot with horses too, right? He had a.
Yeah. And I think Wayne Newton was in town. Did John ever remember that? Wayne Newton came and bought a Morgan horse, and he went into the store up in the square, George Bailey's store. Henry Bailey or George Bailey. I think it was Henry Bailey.
Who was this Newton guy?
What, Wayne Newton?
Yeah.
He was an entertainer from Las Vegas. Yeah, it's probably gone now. He was a singer, and he was very popular in his day. And he came in town.
Wow.
And went in the store up there. And he something to do with, I think he bought a Morgan horse. And then they had something happen to that farm up there. They have a fire up there too.
What, the Orcutt?
John must remember that.
The Orcutt place?
At where the horses were on Cranick Street. My cousin next door, my cousins lived next door, my cousin, she's my age, and a brother, always had soapbox they'd make, and they'd get wheels off of something, probably the lawnmower or something, and go up and down the street with soapbox. That was one thing that the kids did too.
Yeah.
My father would take us on hikes on Sundays, Sunday mornings. We'd go on long hikes with sticks, crossed over the next street and up on the farm there. We'd swing on trees. We'd sleep outside. My mother would make homemade popsicles. We had a great big grapevine down back. My mother would make grape jelly and grape juice. We'd make popsicles. They'd come around on Fridays, a fish, Dick Knight, down the other end of town, would deliver fish. He'd come up the street, and you could buy fish from him, fresh fish. Whitefield Laundry from Newburyport would come around, and you could send your laundry out, and they would deliver it back. Cushman Bakery would come around, I don't know, maybe once or twice a week, and you had a big card you put in the window with a C on it if you want them to stop. And they would deliver that. The ice truck, because you had a refrigerator with ice in it. Ice truck, Burnham would come around with the ice truck and chip off a piece of ice for us kids. And that was great, a big hunk of ice. Long Hill Orchard also had a truck. They would deliver fruit and vegetables to your house.
Yeah, they don't do.
I can still picture them.
No.
And Dick Knight, us kids, my friend lived across the street. Dick Knight, we used to call Honest Knight. Our mother's got mad about what, because he looked like he was saying honest. And then there was a place across the river, across the bridge. You took a right that we used to go on picnics with our mothers. It was called Duck Hollow. It was a little place off the road, along the river on the left side, and our mothers would take us down there with thermoses of cocoa and egg salad sandwiches. That's what I remember. We all had coal furnaces where they would deliver a ton of coal, still got the coal bins down in the 2 cellars.
Yeah. What do those look like? Are they dug into the floor?
They
like big holes?
Yeah, it's encased like with bricks. Both cellars.
And how would you get the coal out of that?
My shovel it, I guess.
Yeah, getting yourself.
Yeah, and when my father passed away in 58, we still had the coal furnace. Still had the coal furnace over there, and that was when we got I think it was probably Birkenbush. We got a oil furnace then, but it was 58.
Yeah. How about water? Did you have a well in the basement, or did they have pipes running to your
No,
house?
we had town water. Out there, there's a well. There's a 50-foot well out here, and there's one next door too. And my mother used to say, people used to come to the well. It was so pure water. People would come and get water from here, from out here. It's not there now. It's part of the septic system, the old septic system we got. I think there was a well next door, and there's one over here too. Everybody had wells, but we had town water. No insulation in the house, and it's too late to do it now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You'd have to tear everything off.
You'd have to tear. Yeah. Yep. But I mean, they got the fireplace.
That's very nice old.
Which it's all with the Dutch ovens, and there's a back-to-back fireplace on the other side. So, I don't use it, but I use this one. Yeah, and it does heat the kitchen. If you have a power outage, you can get it up to like 80 or 85 degrees. It stays here though. It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't go anywhere else in the house. I think playing with all the kids on the street and always having a gang of always something to do.
Do you ever get into trouble?
No. Well, maybe once we fell in a brook across the street. There was a lot of brooks in those days across the street. The pond is still there. There was a brook that ran over on to Bridge Street. We used to catch pollywogs. There's a great big used to be a big babbling brook down in the field down here too. I think it's probably dried up. That went by the stone house down the street. Went under, and it was actually I just went by it. It looks like it's all dried up now. What's important to me in town? The store. The store. The store to me. Because I know everybody there, and when I had a problem with what they always checked on me, and everybody that worked there took like care of me, and I love going there. It's like most of the time it's like a happy place, most of the time. And things down at the town hall, the Minstrel Shows. They had shows years ago called the Minstrel Shows. A lot of singing. I mean, they wouldn't probably get away with it now, but everybody went. And I was still up here then. I was still going to school up here when they had these. And John must remember them. He was probably in it. Yep. And everybody went to that. Oh, there's going to be a minstrel show. And there'd be all kinds it was like singing and dancing and stuff. Yep. Down at the town hall. What's my favorite place? Oh, the store in my yard. I back out with all my animals. I feed all the animals out there. Pet deer. Got pet deer that I feed with a big bag of corn that Carol buys me. Deer. A possum and a skunk that come up on the deck at night with a female duck from the pond across the street. 5 crows. I had a pet crow when I was growing up, Jimmy the crow. Well, these might be offsprings. There's 5 of them. He called the Jackson 5. They all got names. They all got names. And I love that. Stress reliever.
Yeah.
Stress reliever. It's very peaceful here. It's very peaceful here. Just to sit out and look, it's pretty. But the town is too, Jimmy. Town is a nice town. I think that they should stop putting these great big huge houses in. These $1 million houses in this town. I mean, it's got nothing to be with me, but it's so different. Yeah. I got a picture of this was when I was small too. Over here, there was no houses. These two houses weren't here. You could look and it looked like all rolling hills you could see over and see the cows over there. There was not a lot of houses on the street. Donnie Fowler had a map of the street. I don't know what he ever did with it. He had a map of how it was years ago and what houses were here. I saw it once. I thought he had it up the store, but I don't know if Mary Ann has it or not.
I think he does.
There was nothing there. There was just rolling hills, and you could see way off in the distance. No, not a lot of woods. Not a lot of woods. A quarry. There's a quarry down here. And this is Mullen's Field. I call it Mullen's Field. The town owns this field that I take care of, that I mow up here for the two houses. But there's a great big, when we were walking down there, there's a great big quarry. My cousin remembers walking down there. She said, "Do you remember the big sand pit? There's a great big funny sand pit down here." And somebody else remember, I don't remember it, down in these woods. This field out here used to be covered with blueberries. My mother used to go blueberry picking out there. It was all wild blueberries. We used to ski out there because it wasn't growing up until Mr. Mullen on the main road planted a tree farm. And then it just all grew up. But you could see the river from here. You could see the river. In the camp over in their yard, that property belonged to my family. The camp was my grandmother and my grandfather's camp. It's gone to rack and ruin now. You could sit on the porch out there and you could see the river because it wasn't grown up. It wasn't like it was now.
Yeah.
You could hear the cars go over the bridge. My mother said that we used to go down, walk down, cross the bridge, and right across the bridge there was a store, and it was when the Eskimo pie ice creams first came out. Everybody would get an ice cream, and that was like a real treat. There was a store there. It's a house. It's a house now. Bob Wheeler. Wheeler worked there for years, and he drove a school bus too. He worked there for years, and he planted that beautiful bush. I think they sold mostly to businesses. I mean, I don't think you could go there and buy, I don't know. I went there maybe once. Somebody on our street, Dudley Farquhar, worked there. And he used to have, Dudley's coming down the street. He lived on the street. Dad's coming down the street. I think he worked at Long Hill Orchard too. Yeah. But that was a beautiful big business in those days. That was very popular, Cherry Hill Nurseries. But I don't remember ever, going over there, walking around. I know that probably half of the plants that are over there came from there, from him. He worked there all his life, Bob. People are very friendly. Like I had problems here in the winter with the windows leaking. 4 windows because there was an ice jam up on the house. And Mark Marlowe that lived next door, he got the guys from the water department come down, and they were funny. They came down. Marge, we're going to throw stuff up on the roof. I got pictures of it. Sand and salt to try to get rid of the ice jam. You couldn't, yeah. And I talked to Brian Richards. There's nothing you can do with that roof, Marge. He said everybody had water in there. I said 4 windows leaking. I said it's probably all mold and then probably mold in there now. But it was bad. Bad. because it's not, this house is not insulated. There might be spirit in the house too.
Ghosts?
Yeah,
Oh, do tell.
yeah, yeah.
What sort of things
A
did you?
spirit. Yeah,
What have you
I know
witnessed?
that. I told my doctor about it.
Which one, the psychiatric
I-
doctor or
Huh?
the psychiatric doctor?
No, it was my regular. She said, Marge, she lived in the house down on the main road. She said a lot of these houses are so old with the old stone things. Yeah, I always thought that. Yeah,
Mm.
there was. Yep, and Billy too. Billy wasn't like that either.
Mm.
Were you in my room last night? Yeah, and I have seen a figure of somebody. Not a lot. Yep,
Mm.
tall. I told my mother, this was way back too. My mother said, put a pair of rosary beads on the bed. The only thing my mother said was, there was a blind person that used to live here. It was called the Old Coskery House. And I think it's on the deed. There's the deed to this house. So many rods, the Coskery, that he used to cut wood in here. My mother said he used to cut wood upstairs. And that's, I don't know how she knew what the history of the house somewhere she found. Interesting though.
Yeah.
Not scary. But yeah. And it's not crazy. It's other people have had, yeah. Donnie Fowler that
Oh
owned,
no.
you didn't know Donnie that owned the store? Did you? Or Kenny?
No.
When Kenny got married, he lived over here because they owned that house. And he used to, Donnie used to scare his wife saying there was bodies buried down the, he was very, very funny and crazy. Donnie. I still call it Donnie's store. I'm going up to Donnie's. I think there's bodies buried in the cellar. He used to scare Carrie. I hope that it stays safe. I hope it stays a safe town for people. Like, it's very safe there. I think it is. I don't think there's any I don't know if there's any problems. I wish it would stay like it is now, with not a lot of growth in the houses. These mansions going up. Which sounds stupid because I know, but I know there was a big article in the paper recent about Newburyport, the same thing. Sometime at Newburyport with these great big $1 million houses. Stay pretty and lovely and the way it is now.
Do you have any advice for people?
No, I can't. No, just respect the town.